Hello there, it's time for another biology lesson, and today we'll be looking at the concluding part of the topic, the cell. We'll be looking at the cell structure and function. Now, the objective of this lesson is to help learners to be able to state the components of the cell and describe the structure and functions of the components of a cell. Now, moving on, we'll be looking at the subtopic cell structure. Now, the cell structure comprises of individual components with specific functions essential to carry out life's processes. These components include the cell wall, cell membrane, the cytoplasm, nucleus, and cellular organelles. Now, as you can see in the picture that we have here, we have the basic components of the cell structure, and we have various organelles that are being displayed right here. Now, moving along, we'll be looking at the components one after the other. First, we are looking at the cell membrane. Now, the cell membrane is a structure that supports and protects the cell. It controls the movement of substances in and out of the cell. It also separates the cell from the external environment. Now, the cell membrane is a vital component in all cells. It is present in all cells. The cell membrane is the outer covering of a cell within which all other organelles such as the cytoplasm and nucleus are enclosed. It is also referred to as the plasma membrane. By structure, it is a porous membrane with pores which permits the movement of selective substances in and out of the cell. Now, besides this, the cell membrane also protects the cellular components from damage and leakage. It forms the wall-like structure between two cells as well as between the cell and its environment. Now, plants are immobile, so their cell structures are well adapted to protect them from external factors. The cell wall helps to reinforce this function. As you can see, here we have the structure of the cell membrane, as you can see in the picture here. Now, you can see that the cell membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer, and it also has a protein channel through which substances can move in and out of the cell. It also has a carbohydrate part which carries out its own particular function. Now, all these help to maintain cellular structure. Now, we are moving next to the cytoplasm. Now, the cytoplasm is a thick, clear, jelly-like substance present inside the cell membrane. Most of the chemical reactions within the cell takes place in the cytoplasm. The cell organelles such as the endoplasmic reticulum, the vacuole, mitochondria, ribosomes are suspended in the cytoplasm. As you can see in the picture right here, that the cytoplasm is the fluid substance inside of a cell. Now, the cytosol is the watery portion of the cytoplasm that all organelles float in. Now, moving along, we'll also be looking at the cell wall. The cell wall is majorly found in the plant. It is made up of the cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. Now, the cell wall is present exclusively in plant cell. It protects the plasma membrane and other cellular components. The cell wall is also the outermost layer of plant cell. It is a rigid, stiff structure surrounding the cell membrane. It provides shape and support to the cell and protects them from mechanical shocks and injury. As you can see in the picture right here, you can see that the cell wall is made up of cellulose. So you have the cellulose microfibril, pectin, hemicellulose, and the cell wall is divided into three parts: the middle lamella, the primary cell wall, and the plasma cell membrane, the part that is attached to the plasma membrane. Now, moving ahead, we'll be looking at other vital components. This time, we'll be looking at the nucleus. And the nucleus contains the hereditary material of the cell, that is the DNA. It sends signals to the cells to grow, mature, divide, and die. The nucleus is surrounded by the nuclear envelope that separates the DNA from the rest of the cell. The nucleus protects the DNA and is an integral component of a plant cell structure. Now, as you can see right here, you can see the picture of the nucleus. You have the chromatin, which is the semi-condensed form of the DNA. We have the nucleolus, the nucleoplasm, the nuclear envelope, and the nuclear pore. These are all the components of the nucleus. Now we'll be looking at the other cell organelles and their functions, one after the other. Now first, organelles are small structures within the cytoplasm that carry out functions necessary to maintain homeostasis. Homeostasis means internal balance in the cell. They are involved in many processes. For example, energy production, building proteins and secretions, destroying toxins, and responding to external signals. So we'll be looking at the cell organelles and their functions one by one. Starting with the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is involved in the transportation of substances throughout the cell. It plays a primary role in the metabolism of carbohydrates, synthesis of lipids, steroids, and proteins. Now, secondly, we have the Golgi bodies. The Golgi bodies are called the cell's post office as it's involved in the transportation of materials within the cell. Ribosomes. Ribosomes are the protein synthesizers of the cell. In other words, that's the site of protein synthesis. The mitochondria is called the powerhouse of the cell. It is called so because it produces adenosine triphosphate, which is ATP, the cell's energy currency. So when energy is produced in the cell, it is produced in that form, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Lysosomes. Lysosomes protect the cell by engulfing the foreign bodies entering the cell and helps in cell renewal. Therefore, it is known as the cell's suicide bags. The chloroplast. The chloroplasts are the primary organelles for photosynthesis. It is an organelle that is found only in plants because only plants carry out photosynthesis. It contains the pigment chlorophyll. Now the vacuole stores food, water, and other waste materials in the cell. Now this is the pictorial representation of the cell organelles. As you have the lysosomes here, you have the nucleus, the centrosome, the mitochondria. Yes, we have the ribosome, the smooth and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. We have the cell membrane and the Golgi apparatus. So as you can see, the various parts of these cell organelles that you find in both plant and animal cells. Now with this, we have come to the end of our lesson for today. Let's take a quick look at the summary. The cell structure comprises individual components with specific functions essential to carry out life's processes. These components include cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, and cell organelles. Organelles are small structures within the cytoplasm that carry out functions necessary to maintain homeostasis in the cell. They are involved in many processes. For example, energy production, building proteins, secretions, destroying toxins, and responding to external signals. Now, before we go, I want you to pause this video and attempt to answer the question in this assessment to see how much of the lessons that you have actually imbibed. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you again in the next lesson. Bye bye.